Hi. Hello, welcome to Knock Knock Hi with the Glaucomfleckens. I am your host, Will Flannery, better known as Dr. Glaucomflecken.
And I am your host, Kristen Flannery, also known as Lady Glaucomflecken.
Should we change our names?
No.
Really? Okay, fine. All right.
That's a ridiculous
That's a bad idea.
name.
That's a bad idea.
Then our children would have to change their names.
You think they'd get made fun of in school?
Yes, of course. It's a ridiculous name.
I'm hoping that just what we do and what I do doesn't already cause them to get made fun of.
I don't think it does yet, but I feel like the potential is there for the high school years.
Well, shouldn't it give them some cred?
I think right now it does when they're young, like elementary, even like early
Their
middle
friends
school.
know.
It's been like a point of pride a little bit. Like they don't get into like what you do, but just the fact that you have a YouTube channel, right? Like I think that is a little street cred. But then I think once you start getting into high school, when kids want to like individuate themselves and like separate themselves from their parents, then whatever your parents do is completely embarrassing.
Sounds terrible. Yeah. Okay. Well,
get ready. Buckle up. It's coming.
We've got a wonderful show for you all today. Very excited. We have Doctors Nii and Renee Darko. They're hosts of Docs Outside the Box podcast. We are on their podcast.
Yep.
And
it was a lot of fun.
Oh man, so much fun. They're great. They've been podcasting since 2016, so they're professionals. They
know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. They had all their tech and everything set up. You could just tell. Like it's just like
we don't know what we're doing, and anything where it looks like we know where we're doing, that is due to our producers.
Let's
telling
give
us what to do.
a little bit of credit here. All right. We show up on time to record, or at least I do.
I show up exactly on time.
You
waste about 5 minutes first.
You were 1 minute late today.
Well, this time I had an issue that I had to deal with.
I'm just saying. All right. Only one of us is on time 100% of the time. That's all I'm saying. But we talked a lot about a lot of different things.
Do you know if I weren't here doing all the things I am doing when you complain that I'm late, then you would be late.
We had a wonderful conversation with Doctors Darko, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm just trying to fill the.
This is the dynamic of this episode because it's like two married couples who podcast together and work together. There's bound to be some layers in those relationships.
We also had a really fun game we played today. So
that was my favorite one that we've done
toward the latter half of the episode. Should we get to it? Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Jump in. All right, here is Doctors Nii and Renee Darko. Today's episode is brought to you by the Nuance Dragon Ambient Experience, or DAX for short. This is AI-powered ambient technology that helps the physician be more efficient and reduce clinical documentation burden. It's great. To learn more about how DAX Copilot can help reduce burnout and restore the joy of practicing medicine, stick around after the episode or visit nuance.com/discoverdax. That's nuance.com/discoverdax. All right, we are here with the hosts of the podcast Docs Outside the Box, Doctors Nii and Renee Darko. Thank you for joining us, you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
Renee is in the better podcasting recording studio in your house, it looks like. Nii got the extra.
The overflow room.
Also known as the doghouse.
Well, we're excited about this. We got a lot to get into. You guys have a fascinating story, just kind of where you started, where you're at now. I'd like to I start at the beginning with you. You're both children of immigrants, is that right?
Yes.
And so, so how did your upbringing lead you to medicine? Can we start there?
Yeah, go first.
Which immigrant children don't end up in medicine?
The ones that end up as lawyers.
There you go. Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, for me, so my parents are from Haiti, and they actually both were interested in medicine and actually did end up going to medical school in Spain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, wow.
But
how did they get to Spain from? How did that?
Probably an airplane.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe a boat.
Thank
maybe
you.
a boat,
Thank you.
maybe an airplane. I think it was by plane. Um, but I guess back in those days, like in the 60s and things like that, especially with developing countries, the question of, whether or not they have opportunities there or not, I guess people would go to different countries to essentially get their education with the notion that they would come back to their native country and eventually practice. What happened with my parents was that my mom actually arrived a year after my dad in Spain. And her stepfather was actually a lawyer and he was funding her medical education. Well, he subsequently died about a year and a half into her education. And my grandmother, her mother, essentially had 4 other children to care for. My grandmother actually was not educated at all. She was actually illiterate. And so it was very hard for her to continue to fund that education from my mother out in Spain. And so by then, my parents had 2 kids. I was not one of them, but they had 2 kids. And so my mother decided to leave Spain and go set up shop in the United States while my father finished. And then they sent the kids back to Haiti to be raised by my grandparents. But my father, being the stubborn man that he was and is still, decided that he was not going to finish because he had his obligations to his family. And one day he just literally popped up in Brooklyn, New York without telling my mother that he was coming. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I quit."
The drop
That's
in.
right. I quit. We're going to set this thing up and we're going to get our family together. And so in the meantime, I was born in the United States, and eventually my brother and sister were brought over from Haiti.
You say set up shop in the U.S. like it's like an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
That sounds incredibly
they
difficult.
hung up a shingle. It was really easy to do.
It's just on, it's a weekend.
That's right.
Yeah.
They worked on the weekends.
Nee, would you agree with the stubbornness of the?
Oh, this is you're setting him into a trap.
Like I just got into good graces with my father-in-law. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why you're trying to mess this up.
You do not agree?
We are good.
He's graceful. Yeah.
He's good. You're not going to hear that from me.
Not stubborn at all then, right?
That's what a good man does. He goes and he's with his family, and that's it. That's what he did. I ain't falling into that podcast trap. Nope. Cut this up and put it on YouTube Reels. Not going to happen.
Now, Renee, where were you guys set up there in the U.S.?
So we were in Brooklyn, New York. So
Gotcha.
at the time, like Flatbush, Brooklyn became kind of like a hub for a lot of Caribbean immigrants. So that's where my family started out. Eventually, my parents moved out to East New York, Brooklyn, and that is not where a lot of Caribbean people were at the time. They are probably now, but we were kind of, the first, if you will, in East New York, Brooklyn. So yeah, that's where we ended up. That's where I grew up, born and raised. So yeah.
And now you were actually living pretty close to Nii at that time, right?
Yeah.
You guys were like really very close geographically growing up, and didn't realize it for quite
years,
a while later.
Yeah,
so,
until we met.
So Nii, how did you get there?
So my story is not as, or at least the family situation is not as convoluted, but my parents are from Ghana, West Africa, and my dad literally came in the late 60s by a boat. Took like 3 weeks.
There you go. There's
got
that
here
boat.
by a boat. There's that boat.
You knew he was going to ask.
Right.
That's why I tried to.
What are the logistics? How did they navigate the boat? What was the timing there?
The North Star.
Rowing. They were
I just have a
rowing.
feeling my dad was at the front of the boat, like, "You go yonder, keep going," and there's like wind and water in his face. Keep going, right? But he got here in the late 60s. My mom came afterwards, and then we just kind of just lived a immigrant, lifestyle in New York City. We grew up a little bit in Manhattan, and then we moved to Queens, New York, which, if you were to take like a 30,000-foot view, is literally maybe about 15 to 20 miles from where Renee was growing up in East New York.
Yeah.
But as I mean, everybody knows it's so dense. You might as well be in California, right? Like it's just millions and millions and millions of people there, right? So my story, the quest to becoming a doctor is I just watched a lot of TV when I was growing up in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know if the audience, anybody from the audience remembers, if you guys remember, but in the 80s, there was a lot of doctor shows on TV.
There was, you got ER, well, that was
Doogie
90s
Howser.
really, but
yeah.
Doogie Howser was 80s, I think, right?
Yeah. So Doogie Howser was like late 80s into the 90s. Obviously, you had Cosby Show with Heathcliff Huxtable and stuff. There's a little bit of some issues with that, but that's what I was watching. Trapper John, Saint Elsewhere.
Saint Elsewhere, yeah.
So, you're watching, or at least I'm watching TV in this, immigrant house and stuff. And, I'm just watching TV and then I see sports and all these different things. And it's like, no, like, that's what I want to be. I want to be a doctor. And my mom at the time she was a hairdresser transitioning into a nursing assistant. And then my dad was working on he would work on these check sorting computers, right? Like, so back in the day, he would work at the Federal Reserve and it would take all these checks and make copies of it and do all the things, whatever. He would go fix those things. So definitely not really a medical background. But for me, it was just watching all of those TV shows. And I was like, like, this is really interesting. I think I really want to do this. So that's my story.
Oh, nice. And so you guys met in med school now, right?
Kind of, sort of. Before.
Okay.
Right before. So we actually met probably about, 4 or 5 months before medical school. So we had both been accepted to Kansas City University. At the time, it was University of Health Sciences. It's gone through so many iterations of names at this point. But we had both interviewed there and gotten accepted, and we had a mutual mentor who was actually really dedicated to kind of diversifying medicine, working with minority students. And so what he would do is he would look at the list of students who got accepted and those who were minority students and have them kind of contact each other before they went to school. And so Nii ended up calling me and we met over the phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And was that mentor the same person who got Nii, who got you into intramural basketball?
Oh, no.
In medical school? Was that?
If he were a real mentor, he definitely would not have gotten me into intramural basketball.
That story has so many different, that's me fighting discrimination and stereotypes at the same time.
Yeah.
We can get into that whenever you're ready to.
And losing.
Oh, but it's amazing.
I think we're in the part of the story where you're in med school, and so let's get into it.
So this story is best told when me and Renee kind of in combo tell it. So basically what happened is I'm in med school, freshman year, studying. I was athletic in college, in high school. I ran track and cross country. But outside of that, not really. And intramural sports.
Not a lot of ball skills.
No.
Would you say?
A lot. Not a lot.
Right.
None.
But nobody knows any of this stuff, right? So there's intramural sports going on, like your Saturdays, everybody would go play football or basketball, what have you. Anyway, one of our classmates just happened to come up to me and said, "Hey, listen, we are forming an intramural basketball team. Do you want to play?" And I was like, "Not really. I'm not that interested." And I'm in the library studying. I'm like, no, I'm good. Thank you." So then maybe about a week later, they come back and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, listen, we're going to name the team after you. So you can't say no." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What's the name of the team?" He's like, "Yeah, it's called Nii Darko and the Token White Guys."
Uh-oh.
All right. Okay.
So my face is like this. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't say no, but I know that,
that's a risk. That's a risk that was just taken there.
Well, I mean, he's the black guy from the East Coast. Of course he plays basketball, right?
Right.
From Queens, New York,
That's right.
Yeah.
So I said, the name is a little kind of, it's a little, presumptuous, but it is kind of dope that he just said the name after me. I can't let them down. Yes, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I say, yeah, I'm going to do it. And this is weeks to months before the actual, intramurals go on. So I forget about it. And then all of a sudden, like you start seeing like the schedules kind of show up throughout, like in school, right? Like you go to the cafeteria and the schedules are showing up, and you go to like the study hall and the schedules are showing up, and you see like, team purple people eaters and team something. And also you see team Nii Darko and the token white guys. It's like, oh snap. Like they really are doing this.
It's
right?
real.
This is real.
You would think that Nii would pick up a ball at this point and practice a little,
practice.
but
right? What I get myself into.
Yeah, who needs to do that when you're the black guy from the East Coast?
Yeah, you already know.
You already know. It's inherent.
So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a problem because anyway, fast forward to like the day of. Renee, we're going to the gym. Renee's with me. She's like, look, I'll go with you, support you, and all this stuff. And I'm like, put on my sneakers.
Pick him up. Yes, I come to his house.
I put my sneakers on, and I'm like, hey Renee, I got something I gotta tell you. And she's like, what? I was like, yo, I can't play. And I say it like that, like, yo, I can't play. She's like, what do you mean you can't play? So how did you say it, Renee?
I said, what do you mean you can't play? What's wrong with you? I thought something was wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
are you
I can't, right? Like I can't play today is what I thought he was saying. But he's like, no, I can't play basketball. I'm like, what do you mean you can't play basketball? Can't play.
Wow.
I'm like, Nii.
Got no skills.
Nii, they named the team after you. What in the world were you thinking?
No, I couldn't say no.
Like
so I told her again how it happened in the library, and I was like, well, I can't say no. She was like, yeah, you're right. You really couldn't say no. So before we leave the house.
That is not what I said, but okay.
I said a prayer. I said a prayer on the bed. I was like, now I lay me down to sleep. Try to figure out these skills. We get to the gym. Everybody's getting ready, warming up and everything and stuff. Renee goes to the stands and she's in the bleachers and everything. And, I'm meeting the team and stuff. And, I'm just like, wow. Maybe they'll have me come off the bench or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think they had me start. They had me start.
Starter.
Of course.
Okay.
You're the headliner.
You're Nii Darko.
Yeah.
So Renee, you want to take it? Renee, you want to take it from there?
Oh, I mean, they have him starting. I don't know if you guys ever watched The Office, but
yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, there's a point at which Michael Scott forms a team and he picks Stanley because Stanley's a black guy,
Yes.
and Stanley starts dribbling, and Stanley has this dribble that one hand is like this and the other hand.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And Stanley's dribbling. Yeah, that was Nii Darko. Nii Darko can't dribble.
But I can shoot.
I was gonna ask, at what point did everybody realize, okay, this guy's never played basketball in his life?
About a minute into it.
Right away.
Yeah.
It didn't take long. Okay.
About a minute into it. Because
I was trying to front. I was trying to front by trying to run the offense. Oh yeah, you go. Like I'll hold the basketball.
Yeah.
You go there. Move. And then I pass and get away. And then they're like, no, you pass. You do something with it. I'm like,
yeah. Can't dribble. Dribbling like Stanley from The Office. And but
that's awesome.
He has to admit, I was there and I was cheering him on. And I was, I was cheering him on like, come on, Kobe Bryant.
So it wasn't a cheer. It was a jeer. A jeer. Take the CH out. It was a J.
It really was.
I'm playing and I'm getting my butt whooped, literally there's a chant that's going across the entire bleacher saying, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant. And I'm like, damn. It's like
Kobe
that.
Bryant. Okay.
And did you, Renee, were you the one that started that?
Oh,
chant?
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's clever. I like it. I like
absolutely.
it. Were you guys a couple at this point? Was this?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah. We're kind of messing.
We're kind of
messing around, if you will. But yeah.
yeah. Sure. Did you win the game? Was it like, what was the outcome of this?
I wasn't paying attention because they benched me and then I was upset and I was like, forget this.
I think we left. Actually.
You left.
I twisted my ankle. I twisted my ankle and then I got benched and I was like, forget this. I was upset.
It's like now, and then they had to change the name. They were just token white.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Token white.
That's they
Absent
lost their
Nii
headliner.
Darko, token white guys.
So I'd like to say I was fighting racial stereotypes from the get-go.
And
that
losing.
was my
That's
plan.
right.
Losing. Or maybe winning in this case.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't. That's rough.
And this was first year, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that probably didn't come up at all like the next several years. in
Yeah,
that
they're
school.
like, no, we're good. We don't need to ask him.
You were done with intramural sports at that point. So you went on to finish med school. So Nii, you did trauma surgery,
Yeah, I went the general surgery route, and then I did a
general
extra
surgery,
year
and then trauma surgery, and then Renee, you did OBGYN.
Absolutely.
Now we just had match day. You know, this is
Today.
just now
Today,
happened.
right? Yeah.
When we're recording this on match day. I'm seeing all the tweets, like all like the so much excitement. So what was your match day experience like?
So our school, like, because we didn't own a hospital, our school sent out a majority of people to like different hospitals and so forth. So it wasn't like, you know how like several days from now on Friday, everybody will be able to open up their envelopes and have that. We didn't have that. You just go to the computers and check it out, and that was it.
You just that was mine too for ophthalmology,
right?
Because
yours is
it
early.
happens like 2 months. Yeah,
Right.
It happens 2 months earlier. So I was just like, I had to
very anticlimactic.
I had to clear the room. Like no one could be in the room with me. I had to like just sit there in either my joy or my despair, like by myself.
That right there, that's his entire memoir. Like, that is him in a nutshell.
I need to just accept, let the whatever emotion it is, just like I don't want to project that onto anybody else if it's not good.
Right.
And then if it all turned out okay, like,
then you can open the door.
Celebrate with people, right?
Yeah, he's got to have total control over anything where an emotion might pop out.
But you clearly, you two wanted to match at the same place or location, right? No, that wasn't
that wasn't a thing.
Oh,
no,
all right.
That wasn't a thing.
Right.
So
was there a rough patch in there?
Our relationship is very, you know how Facebook put "it's complicated"? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We were
All
"it's complicated" before it was complicated, right?
Yeah.
So our relationship, we were together, but we weren't really together like that.
And there was a lot of heckling thrown in, obviously.
Heckling, yes.
Okay.
This is your fault.
But yeah, I mean, we were in a relationship, but it wasn't so serious at that point that we were, considering a couples match. There was a point at which we spoke about it, but that was kind of after the fact. I had said to him, and he always says, "Oh, you just wanted to couples match with me." I'm like, "No, I didn't. Stop sweating yourself." But we did have that conversation kind of after the fact. What if we had couples match? What would that look like? But that wasn't even at least a thought in my head, and I don't think it was a thought in his when we were matching.
So where'd you end up going?
So I
separately?
went to New Jersey. I ended up at Robert Wood Johnson in New Brunswick.
I ended up going to Morehouse in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
That made things
not
interesting.
Same coast, but pretty far away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you clearly you persevered through the distance.
Yeah.
So which how was, I guess that clearly, like, there's lots of challenges associated with that. So how did you navigate that?
No, well, not just the distance, but they're also in residency.
Oh, yeah,
like,
right.
There's no time.
Like,
You're
Nii,
exhausted,
like,
and you
guys were living at the hospital,
Yeah.
and clearly probably having just a wonderful time.
Oh, absolutely. Because surgery and
He's
OB,
like-
not
he's
at
like,
all
"No."
malignant programs.
I'll just leave it to you like this. Probably, I'd say like 6 months into the worst part was 6 months into my first year. One of my chief residents like asked me if I had taken a shower, and it was literally like I was there all the time. And it came to a point like for 3 days I didn't take a shower because I would get there at like 5 a.m, get home by like 10 o'clock at night, and
do it all over again.
Excuse me, rinse, wash, and repeat.
Yeah.
And the thing that was difficult for me is I'm very close to my family, very family oriented, and at this point, being in New Jersey, living in Queens, and then we moved to Jersey. What ended up happening is after college, I kept getting farther and farther away from my family. And it just, it becomes tougher sometimes, right? Because you just want to see them. So I think for me, it was just you add on the pressure of being away from family, the pressure of you have student loans, the pressure of trying to get through a surgery residency, the pressure of being the first osteopathic medical student at this residency program, and trying to handle a relationship. It was tough for me. It was really tough. And I'm pretty sure there was some bouts of some depression during that time. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah. I mean, so how many times did you even see each other? Like over residency?
So,
Like, I mean, that.
Yeah, we would see each other at least 4 times a year. That's kind of how the next 4 years, because my residency was 4, his was 5.
Yeah.
Lots
Not
of
a
breakups.
lot. That's not a lot.
Lots of breakups during that time.
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
Oh, man.
I'm done.
It's the truth.
Yeah, lots of breakups during that time. But we saw each other on average 4 times a year.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
imagine that.
that's a lot to deal with all
I'm
at
thinking,
once.
like, would we have made it? I don't know.
Who knows?
For the sake of my survival, I hope that we
Right.
would have. But
Right.
my God.
That would have been a different story.
That's like
Yeah,
a Back to the
right?
Future
Yeah.
episode right there, right? Like,
Seriously.
Right,
if she
yeah.
really
Absolutely
wasn't
is.
there, would you be erased from the picture in the future?
Right.
Well,
I'd be slowly disappearing from this
Right.
podcast.
Right. Like a butterfly effect or something. My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to think about.
Yeah.
But-
So you finished training after like what, somewhere between like 6 and 20 years. I
Give or
probably felt
take.
more like 20. With an incredible amount of student loan debt, which a lot of us can attest to that. I mean, we just had one. I had one $300,000 sum, but with 2 of you, I'm sure it's double that, right?
Mhm.
And then you're practicing. Now you guys you've stepped away from your medical careers at this point.
No,
Is that
we're
but not
still.
not completely. No, I mean, sorry, practicing. Like seeing
Yeah, yeah.
patients, you're still doing?
Yeah, we still
Yep.
see patients. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. Okay. Sorry. I had
Yeah.
I take no responsibility.
I
for
know.
him.
Well, I misinterpreted what I was
As you
reading
just
here.
heard, he does things on his own, so we do
Okay.
our separate
He
research.
needs the room, guys.
All right. So you're still seeing patients, but I guess you're taking on other things, right? You're kind of, which is part of what your podcast is all about.
Mhm.
Right.
Docs outside the box. You're exploring other parts. So tell us about the origin of that. Why really you went from, just clinical surgical careers to doing more.
I think for us, it's a long story, but I'll keep it short for the show. I think the big thing is, when we both wanted to be doctors, we envisioned it a certain way, right? There's the zeal, there's the naivete, so to speak, and there's that I want to, heal the world one patient at a time, right?
Mhm.
But then I think as we get towards the end of our training, you start to get more mature and you start to realize like the healthcare system really, to some extent, doesn't really allow that individuality, I think, right? Those individual dreams. And I think we started to see that in addition to the student loans that we had, we're like, wait, all the things that we wanted to do individually, as well as some of the things that we wanted to do together, probably not going to be able to do that because we have so much debt. And also now we're on someone else's schedule in terms of like when we can work and when we can't work. And then we started realizing like, it's not what I thought about when I was in Queens, right? Like when I'm watching Doogie Howser or whoever, that's not
Right.
what I saw on TV. And I'm pretty sure Renee has something similar to say about that.
Yeah.
But I think for us, we were able to pinpoint some issues that really were a major problem. The number one thing was the loans for us. The loans really kept us having to do what we had to do. So Renee,
What was your number? What was your number combined?
we were
How high did it get?
$662,000.
Mhm.
Woo.
Mhm.
And that's just
That's hard
student
to even-
loans.
That's a lot.
And that's just student loans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a mortgage or any other
Yeah,
stuff added
right.
onto that
Yeah.
you got to do.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Car
Okay.
payments.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're looking at this big number and you're like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we both have MBAs and we don't know what to do. So that's even more of a issue. Do you see what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
think there's a little bit of like, man, like how is it that 2 docs got their medical degrees and we got MBAs? We don't know how to save our money. We
Right.
don't know how to budget, and we damn sure don't know how to invest. What was all that extra? That
Yeah,
drove
if anyone should know how to do it, it should be you guys.
Right. Should. Should.
Right.
Right. How
Mhm.
much of that loan debt was the MBA? I mean,
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
At least a quarter.
that's part of it.
At least
Yeah.
a quarter, probably.
Right. Oh, that's expensive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you got to get, I mean, so you started, now you've started several businesses, right? So you're doing these other things. Tell us about those. Actually, you know what? Let's take a break and then let's come back and we want to hear, what exactly the things that you're doing. Hey, Kristen.
Yeah.
AI tools are everywhere now.
That is true, and they're here to stay.
That's right. Well, have you heard about Precision?
What is it?
This is great. This is the first ever EHR integrated infectious disease AI platform.
Ooh, that sounds useful.
Infectious disease, it's a hard field. You got to figure out when to start antibiotics and try to decrease resistance and how long to keep the patient on. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Well, this is an AI tool that automatically highlights better antibiotic regimens. It empowers clinicians to save more lives while reducing their burnout. To see a demo, go to precision.com/KKH. That's precision spelled with an X instead of an E. So PRXCISION.com/KKH. All right, we are back with Doctors Renee and Nii Darko. So we were just talking about your what you're doing outside of seeing patients, and so tell us a little bit about that, and how that's helped you tackle that $662,000 loan debt.
Well, it's really funny actually, because the business that helped us the most with tackling the debt was actually us being doctors. So what we did was...
Well, you would hope that.
Right.
You would hope that, case, right?
That the profession pays for itself. What a novel idea.
That's the idea.
Right.
What a novel idea. But so when I graduated from residency, or right before I graduated from residency, I learned about locum tenens from an attending of mine. What I noticed was that she was the only attending that was never on call. And she essentially had her own schedule and she, dictated what she wanted to do. And I realized after speaking with her that there was this thing called locum tenens and that you could navigate your career in the way that you wanted to. So when I graduated, I actually moved to Georgia, where Nii was in Atlanta, did a health policy fellowship out there, but I was doing locum tenens on the side. And so I covered for a private practice doc who was a solo doc. And so she wanted to, I think, go to India or something like that. And so I would cover for her either when she traveled or just to give her a break on weekends. And it was a great thing. So after I did that particular stint of locums, I ended up doing a longer stint in Idaho, essentially increased their Black population by 6% by myself. But, it's, got to do it for the culture. And and so I ended up doing locum tenens that way. And because I was independently contracted, I started realizing, wow, like not only can I make my own schedule, but I can make a lot more money doing this way more efficiently. And nobody can tell me you have to work. So Nii eventually got introduced to locum tenens, and we ended up starting, our own LLC. And through the LLC, not only did we work, but we ended up hiring other doctors to work. And through that, we were able to do passive income with the other doctors who were working, as well as the active income that we were bringing in through the agency. And the money just started.
So how did that work?
Going.
Were you just like coordinating for those doctors or what was the, okay.
Yeah. So in essence, we, negotiated a contract between the hospital and the doctors. It's just that the doctors didn't want to deal with all of the minutia that goes along with doing that. Like
lots of logistics.
A lot of logistics. They didn't want to start their own business. Sure. They didn't want to. There's just certain things they just didn't want to do. They wanted to show up and work and get some extra cash
and get paid.
And they were asked us actually to do it for them. We said, "Okay, yeah, sure, we'll do it."
Yeah,
I can't play basketball, but I can figure that out.
Right? There you go.
That's right.
So
that wasn't another side gig for you. It was basketball.
No.
You just gotta,
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Sounds good.
Even though I love watching basketball. Right, Knicks fan for life.
Oh yeah.
But so we started doing this where we would talk to the hospital and we would do the schedule as to fill up the holes to get these doctors working as locums there, and we would deal with the travel, the hotel, and we would do the timesheets and the invoicing. And it sounds a lot because it was, but it was for me. It was so fun. Like there were times where,
Yeah.
I would talk to a doctor and say, hey, you didn't do your timesheet, or maybe there's like a discrepancy between something that the hospital said and the doctor A is there and is not getting it. And he or she writes to me or calls me and says, I don't understand this. How do I do this? And, it was literally me like finishing up a case and going to talk to administration saying, hey, we have a problem A. Can I have a solution? And they get me the solution. And I call the doctor back and say, hey, here's your solution, and go from there. And a lot of times people would say that has to be crazy and hectic. And I was like, no, actually, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the
Yeah.
problem solving aspect of it. So
Yeah.
we thrived in that.
I'm curious what negotiations with the hospitals are like. Are those tense? Are
Yes.
those? I imagine they're very, especially. Well, maybe it's gotten easier over the last couple of years, just because everyone is dying for staff, right? They're everybody's short staffed, so maybe you have a little bit more leverage now. I don't know. Tell me what has it been like doing the
I
negotiations?
think initially what we found that it was very difficult, mainly because it was hard to get the hospital or the hospitals to take us seriously as doctors who have their own companies. Now,
Mm.
there's already locum tenens companies or independent contracting companies out there. But when the hospital is talking to, an already established company, a business with logo, staff, and so forth, they have no problem having a negotiations discussion with them. But when it's
Mm.
one or two doctors who form their own company, what we found out is that the hospital oftentimes doesn't take us as seriously. At least that's our impression. Doesn't take us as seriously, and oftentimes will try to talk us out of working as locums and try to figure out something that was either
Uh,
a per diem situation or an employer-employee situation, which greatly benefits
gotcha.
the hospital, right?
Right.
And we were like, no, we'd like to stay in this situation. And these doctors that we represent, we'd like to stay independently contracted. And as Renee said, the pay is much better. But, for the doctors who aren't paying attention or who are listening, there's a lot of advantages to being, in essence, a free agent constantly. And I think that when
Yeah.
you have with business, you need, or at least with the hospital business, the number one thing that you need is availability and consistency. So you have to have people who are employed. Where on the other hand, you have doctors who more or less nowadays are like, look, I put in all the work, I put in all the studies, I put on all the sacrifice. I don't know if immediately jumping into being employed is the way to go for me. And that oftentimes can cause an issue. The hospital needs consistency, whereas the doctors
Right.
nowadays
Right.
need their independence.
Right.
And that can be an issue. And that's where we come in the middle and say, hey, let's find a way, let's heal the world, let's be We Are the World and figure out a way to make this work.
Yeah, get everybody what they need.
So what's the downside then? Because otherwise, everybody be doing locums if it's just everybody's going to get paid more. Is it less stable in terms of location of where you're working? Is it
So yeah, I
what
mean,
are the
I'll just hold on. I'll let you cook for a second. I'll just
Yeah.
say this. I tend to be the person who knocks things out the park. So I'll give my take, and it's crazy. But in essence, actually, I feel like every doctor in the United States should be independent contractor. I
yeah,
do.
Yeah.
I know it's a jump and it's a reach,
sure,
but I actually think every doctor in the United States should be independent contracted. The reason why is because the healthcare system, these big corporations, they're in one type of business, and doctors, in essence, I kind of feel like are in a different type of business, right? They kind of have two different interests. And I think the best way for everyone to be happy is for everybody to walk in as two separate entities. Let the hospital provide all of the monies to get the staff and to get, the facilities. And then the doctors literally bring in the brain power and then go from there.
right.
But that's 100 years down the road. But so Renee, go ahead. You say
Yeah, no,
what's the downside?
I actually agree with that. I think the transition, however, right? You're still going to have the employed doctors who are going to need to be employed because of so many different reasons. But I actually agree with that, it should be a B2B kind of thing, right? A business to business type of relationship between doctors and hospitals. So, yeah, I guess maybe 100 years down the road, it will be. But for now, everybody can't be. So the downsides to it in the system that we are currently in right now is, is there work certainty, right? if people are going to be employed by hospitals, what happens when the hospital fills its staff, right?
Right.
That's
Then they won't need you
right. They
anymore.
won't need you anymore. And what does that mean
Mm.
for you in terms of where you live? Do you have to travel? Does your
Right.
lifestyle really accommodate you traveling to go to work? I'm of the belief, however, that even though we're in the system that we're in, that if you are a locums, if you're someone who really, really, really wants to do locums, no matter what your lifestyle, you can find a way to do it. There are so many different
Yeah.
ways to do it. Telemedicine is big in locums as well. Like, so there are so many permutations that you can do this thing.
Well, I mean, I've certainly I've beat the drum to, physician ownership in
Yes.
healthcare. Like, I think we need more of that,
Mhm.
right? And this is a way to get more physician ownership. And so,
Yeah.
hopefully it won't take 100 years. I'm thinking,
200 years with
I-
doctors.
it's yeah, right. Yeah.
It is
Well,
a very slow
Yes.
moving.
it
Ugh,
is.
medicine is so
behemoth.
It's
slow.
very
Yes.
challenging. I mean, it's also going to take legislation. It's going to take, to
Yeah.
pry some of that power away from
Mhm.
corporations, non-physician corporations and things. So,
Yeah.
I love what you're doing. Thanks for taking that on. Tell us about let's go to the podcast now. Docs Outside the Box. So what made you want to? I mean, obviously, Nii was just searching for something he was good at.
Because it won
It's
basketball.
right. I mean, clearly, that's not going to be his future. So was what was it about podcasting? How'd you guys come up with this idea, and how are you feeling about it now?
So, those are loaded questions.
Uh-oh.
You got time?
Let's get into it.
So,
It takes more time than you think,
yeah,
right?
it takes
Like,
way
that's what
more
we've
time.
learned.
Yeah. So now we've been podcasting since 2016. And the reason I started it was me and Renee were trying to pay off our debt at that time. And we didn't know how to do it. So we were listening to podcasts. We were going on, different websites and YouTube channels. And we started realizing that we were really getting advice from people who had literally half the degrees that we had or no degrees, but were in debt. But they had a certain level of authority, mainly because they had a podcast or they had a YouTube channel. And it's not to say that their information wasn't vetted. It was vetted. But I just really was interested. I was like, wow, like, these two people are like a teacher and a principal, and they're paying off all of this debt. And we are listening to them. Like I said, we have MBAs and we're like taking notes from what they're doing.
Mhm.
So during that time, I still have some colleagues in medicine who are doing some really interesting things that you won't learn in medical school. Right.
Mm.
And I said, like, I would love to interview these folks and kind of just put it on wax and see what people think. And that's what I started doing. It took me about 2 years to kind of get started because I was a little bit scared and so forth. But, 2016 April was like the first episode where I interviewed a woman who she trained in the United States. She's from Atlanta, Georgia, is an OB doc and decided to, take a year off and travel the world with her husband, who's an anesthesiologist. And they went all the way around the world and they got all the way to Australia and New Zealand and was just like, we ain't leaving, right?
Mhm.
We ain't leaving for
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, E, F reasons. And one of the
I've been to Australia. I can understand why.
exactly.
Yeah.
We
It's
too.
a
We
great
have
place.
too.
Right.
Yeah. I can totally
Yeah.
understand.
And one of them being, hey, like the medical system here, at least for the side for doctors, is pretty favorable, And
Yeah, it is.
so they decided to, when they got back to the United States, they just basically put all of their resources in trying to get back to Australia and practice. So they were my first interview, and like that did well, right? So we're talking 2016. This is still like the wild, wild west of podcasting, right? Like
Yeah.
Right.
there,
Very
That's pretty
early.
early.
there is no video portion of this for the most part, right? It's all
Right.
audio, and then it's
Yep.
On
like the
on
superstars.
Skype.
It's on
Skype.
Skype,
Yeah. Way back.
and it's just crazy, right? Fast forward
Right.
now where it's completely different now, right? Like it's literally almost like the streaming wars with podcasting. This
Mhm.
is the main form of communication, right? It's just
Yeah.
everything has
Everyone's got a
changed.
podcast.
Everybody has a podcast, but not everybody's a professional, right? And
Mhm.
True.
that's the part
True.
that I think is the state of podcasting right now is, in essence, you have a lot of there's a lot of folks who brought a lot of money in And if you don't put that money in the right place or put it behind the wrong people, you may get really bad responses. And the reason why I say that is, for example, like you have a whole bunch of money towards Amy Schumer. But if Amy Schumer is not a podcaster, can she really podcast, right? I'm not talking about like the Joe Rogans. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm not talking about like the people who are consistently going. I'm talking about like if you put the money towards a Meghan Markle, like they don't podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think in essence, like it kind of inflated the market, and now we're seeing a contraction. And now really at this point right now of podcasting, what we're seeing is you got to let the cream will always rise to the top. So we've iterated our podcast multiple times from just interviewing people to now it's me and Renee talking about our lifestyle. And we're at a point where now we just talk about what it's like to work as locums docs, what's it like to pay off debt, what's it like to invest, what it's like to raise kids, what's it like to, have so many different things that we're going through as independent doctors, and kind of give that perspective to people. So that's kind of where we are right now as we transition to YouTube also with our podcast. But the podcasting scene in 2024 versus where it was in 2016,
totally
different.
Yeah. I mean, that 8 years on the internet is a lifetime.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's what you said about just evolution and change, allowing your podcast to change, if it needs to change.
Right.
Is something that we're learning now, right? Because you have to evolve a little bit. You have to, bring in new things and try new things and not be afraid to do that.
And that's the fun of it too, is you can be flexible and you can try out new ideas, or you can do
if it sucks, okay, well, at least
do something else.
we know.
Tried. Exactly.
But that's what the audience wants, right? Because if they wanted straight and to the narrow, they would watch TV. Right. And the fact that they're coming on YouTube or the fact that they're listening on a podcast, they want something different. They want somebody who sounds like them or is from a similar background or is kind of, is just not going to have it all together. And it's just part of this club. Right. Like I'm on the end before everybody else finds out about it. Yeah. That's the dopest part for me about podcasting is I know I don't have to be perfect, but I still got to put on a good show for people. And that's what you guys are talking about also. Yeah.
And you can always edit things out.
There you go. That part right there.
So in honor of your podcast, Docs Outside the Box, I have devised a little game for us to play for a few minutes here.
Not basketball, right?
No ball sports.
No ball related here.
I'm with you on that one. I'm like, I don't throw something at me; it'll just hit me in the face.
So this is called out of the box questions.
Ooh.
Out of the box questions. These are questions that we got from Indeed.com.
Okay.
And that are listed as out of the box interview questions.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So we're just going to go through some of these. I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to interview you. All right. I don't know what job. What job should it be for? It's maybe since match day just happened. It's imagine you're interviewing for residency.
Oh, I want to be an ortho resident. Let me get my hammer.
There you go. Okay. All right, Renee, we can start with you then. Describe. These are out of the box interview questions.
Okay, so I can answer out the box, right?
Oh, you can however you want. This is you're trying to get the job here.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
All right. First question. Describe the color blue to someone who can't see.
Describe. Oh my God. Well, it's like red and purple. Except you take out the red. And now you don't have purple. And so then you have blue left. There you go.
As someone who has treated many a colorblind patient, that is an awful answer, Renee.
And the survey
like,
says,
what's purple?
That is the hardest question ever.
I guess you could describe.
I would just say cool.
What about like water?
Like cool, that's good.
Yeah,
like cool,
imagine what
or like
water.
Like the feeling of blue.
Yeah.
Like what does blue feel like?
Yeah.
And I don't know because I have trouble with my feelings.
Yeah, don't ask him.
Kristen, what does blue feel like?
Well, I think it feels like a fresh, crisp breeze. If you're talking about like a light blue, I think a like more of a moody, darker blue is maybe like cozy and not warm, but not cold, just like nice and calm
It's
and
the feeling
cozy.
of getting into cold sheets.
That sounds awful.
I think I love that feeling.
Pet peeve, by the way, getting into cold sheets.
We've had this conversation before.
No, I'm not into cold sheets.
I like
want
getting
them
into
to
cold
be nice
sheets, and then
warm.
your body heat makes them warm.
Makes it warm.
And then I like getting in about
That's
15
blue.
minutes after you do and stealing the
there you
heat
go.
that you generated.
There you go.
All right, let's move on.
I'm nervous.
All right, Nii. All right. Who would win in combat? Spider-Man or Batman?
Ooh, it's easy. Batman.
Yeah.
Really?
Batman would. Batman wins everything. Batman is the man. He's the best.
Batman's his favorite.
Oh.
I mean, they are from New York.
I'm gonna need some more, Dr. Darko here. I need some reasons
I'll back you up.
why
I'll
Batman.
back you up.
Let's go.
So I can't bloviate, and I figure if I gave like such a strong answer, you wouldn't ask for the underleaf.
Just
I'm
project
not buying it yet.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
not
not
buying it 'cause
ortho residency
I know.
interview.
I know what Spider-Man can do.
So
we all know what Spider-Man can
is
do.
the ultimate detective, and he has all of the resources. Initially, probably he'd get his ass whooped by Spider-Man, but eventually he would figure it out, and he would win. Batman is the man. I'm telling you, he is the greatest superhero out there. He would figure it out. That's why I strongly believe Batman.
I agree with that. And I'm going to say, because I think that Batman would figure out a device, right? Because he's like, well, he's not actually the engineer, but he's like the idea behind the engineer. I think he would figure out a way to create like a web machine so that he could be on par with Spider-Man.
Yeah, even the playing
because he
field.
has the unlimited resources. He's a billionaire.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, that's the kind of people who always win in this.
There you go.
So.
You next, he has Spider-Man in his factory making like silk from the, it's just like, go to my sweatshop and go make stuff for Wayne Industries. Come on.
He'd put Spider-Man out of business.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
That's right. Put him to work.
He'd private equity Spider-Man.
That's right.
He'd just
Put him to work.
Get in and do Spider-Man better than Spider-Man can do.
Exactly.
Rough, tough scene for Spider-Man. Oh, man. All right, Renee. What is the animal you most identify with?
Oh, that's easy. Come on.
Animal. How is that easy? You think of me as an animal? Like, what the hell?
Uh-oh, tread carefully.
Easy.
What is the animal that I most identify with? Oh my God. I think I'm a bird. Maybe like what's like a really high fly? I'm an eagle. Yeah.
All right.
Eagle.
I'm an eagle. Yeah, I think I'm an eagle.
Predator bird.
I'm a predator bird. I think I'm that. Because I'm definitely not prey. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
How's your eyesight?
Well, I do wear glasses. I'm an eagle with glasses.
All right.
Yeah, I'm an eagle with glasses. But yeah, I think I like to fly high, and I don't take no mess from people. And I will put you in your place, literally, like pick you up and put you in your place.
There you go.
I like it.
Nii, what would you say?
This is easy. I'm a hippo. I'm a hippo.
Right.
What?
All right.
Who says that?
Because think about it, like a hippo.
Hippos are terrifying.
You got 4 teeth?
They're very dangerous. That's true.
But hippos, they wade in the water sometimes to get their prey and stuff. But then,
Sneaky. They throw their weight around.
When they get out of water, they're real clumsy, right? That's me, right?
Oh, okay.
I'm clumsy with a lot of things. I have to have Renee help me with a lot of things because I'm very clumsy.
He's lying.
And at times it has a temper.
Oh, okay.
So
there you go.
Which makes, the podcast is really fun.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm closest to a hippo.
Gotcha. I can appreciate a person like usually on that I think it's an interviewer. What I'm learning is he's not going to be he's not vain or arrogant or something, because most people would answer that in a flattering way, right? You choose an animal that's like paints you in a good light. And a hippo is a bold choice.
Yeah,
it's good. I like it. I like that answer. All right, Renee, if a movie was made about your career, who would play the lead character?
Ooh, who's the most beautiful woman on the planet?
Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Who would play me?
Oh, maybe we should have Nii answer this
Oh, yeah.
for you.
Yeah, Nii. Who would play me? Who would play me?
He's really regretting ever talking to you.
He's like, why in the world is this happening?
So, with basketball, if you shoot, like, I love the Knicks. And,
right. Yeah, answer the question.
I think so it has to be who would play Renee?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the story of her career.
Or life, or just, who comes to mind? Who do you think?
I think Renee would want like Viola Davis to play her.
Ooh, that is a good
choice. I
choice.
want Viola Davis to play her. Because,
Yeah, I mean, you can't do much better than Viola Davis.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
She's a force on screen,
she is.
for sure.
Snot and everything.
And probably off screen, too.
Not crying and everything.
Same question to you, Renee. Who would play Nii?
Oh.
Renee, this takes work, to wake up like this. So represent me right, please. Who?
Really? Oh my
Denzel?
God. I was thinking about a cartoon character. But I will go with the obvious, and it's what everyone has said for many, many years, and that is Taye Diggs.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's what people have said.
Are you happy with that, Nii? You good with that?
I'll put up with that. I think he more looks like me, though.
That's a good, solid choice.
He more looks like me.
Whatever.
He looks like, Mm-hmm.
All right, and then final question. Renee, would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
This is easy.
I'm going to go for the 100 duck-sized horses. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go for that. You know why?
Yeah.
Because so now I'm in the ring and I see myself with these horses. And you know what I see the weakness would be with those horses? Horses have long backs, right? They got long backs.
Oh,
so I would just stomp them. It just keeps stomping them on the back in the middle so that they would be like, You see what I'm saying?
You're really missing out if you're only listening to this on audio
guys,
and you didn't get to just see that.
At one point, she wanted to be a veterinarian.
No, I didn't.
And then she was asked this question in interviews,
right? And it didn't pan out.
Waitlist, rejected.
I mean, she did say she's a predator, so
this is true. Yeah.
Checks out.
I personally think one horse-sized duck.
Yeah.
No, that would be tough. I think that would be tough.
You think that'd be tough?
That's a big ass duck.
Yeah.
Like that's and ducks are mean.
They're
too.
brutal.
And they have the wingspan. The beak was going to be enormous.
Yeah.
That's just because they have range, right? You won't be able to get to
them.
And
then the wings, and they could slap you with them.
Right.
I think
though, if you did that, you'd have to go really close to their neck and then just like uppercut them. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to go
I thought
really
you were about
close
to say
to the
just
neck.
snap it.
Strangle.
Yeah, you could do that too. But it's
strangle that horse-sized duck.
We're all getting canceled.
Yeah.
This is your neighborhood OB, guys. This is your neighborhood OB.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you for indulging me. You guys, I wasn't not sure I would hire you for anything, but it was worth it.
I think I would hire Renee if I needed to take somebody out.
Yeah, there you go. I'd be a
learned.
great bodyguard.
Yeah.
So tell the people what you want them to know about you and where to find you. And before we go, plug some things here.
Hey, listen, guys. We are Docs Outside the Box podcast. Listen, we talk like this every day. Not every day, but every Tuesday. We come out with an episode.
Every Tuesday.
And everywhere you can get your favorite podcast, we're talking about Google. Google won't exist anymore, but YouTube Music and Spotify and YouTube, all of that stuff, that's where we're at. And we talk about money, we talk about medicine, and then we also talk about pop culture. So we're very, very, those are things that we're very passionate about. And we always oftentimes, talk about it from our plight, which are people who didn't have, had a lot of student loan debt, didn't know how to invest it. And then we also talk about what it's like to kind of just have, your own agency and kind of just be in charge of your life and how to figure all that stuff, all the different iterations of your mindset that you have to go through. That's what we talk about on our show.
And Kristen and I were on your show and had a great time. And so definitely check it out. Docs Outside the Box podcast. And you have a YouTube channel as
Yes,
well
we do.
now.
Yes, we
do. And then you're also working on a LoCom Tenons course. Is that right? You're kind of still building that up as well.
Yeah.
So,
we actually are building a
Fantastic stuff.
LoCom Tenens course. Right now, as we're building it, if you want, in the meantime, you can go to our YouTube channel and look at our LoCom Tenens playlist. So if you are just thinking about doing LoCom Tenens and you want a whole bunch of episodes on that, I think we do like 6 episodes in our playlist. So check us out on YouTube.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Hey, Kristen.
Yeah.
Notice anything different about me?
You look the same as always.
I'm covered in mites.
Well, you don't have to tell everyone that.
Maybe you need a mite too.
Ugh.
What do you think?
I prefer to be mite-free.
You know what these things are? They're Demodex.
I know. They're enormous.
Have you ever had red, itchy, irritated eyelids?
No, but that does sound very uncomfortable.
It could be caused by one of these little guys. Now, they're a lot smaller in real life.
Well, that's comforting at least.
But they're called Demodex, and it can cause problems with the eyelids. They're the mites that live on your eyelashes.
Just chomping on all that goo.
Now, it might seem gross, but you don't want to get grossed out by this.
Okay.
All right. You got to get checked out.
That is
So
very
just
sensible.
go to your eye doctor. Ask about Demodex blepharitis. All right. That's really what you got to do. Or DB, if you want to be a little shorthand with it.
Yeah. Make it sound like you know what you're talking about.
Exactly. To find out more, you can go to eyelidcheck.com. Again, that's EYELID check.com to find out more information about these little guys.
Tell them
I think
Dr.
they're kinda cute.
Glaucomfleckens sent you.
That's right. Demodex blepharitis. Did you ever get any interview questions along those lines?
Along those lines? No. No, mine were all pretty standard.
Some of those sound like interview questions you'd get for like residency. They always try to throw
Really?
you off a little bit.
I was thinking like at Google, right? Like,
Well, no,
I mean,
it's like,
those are harder.
You always
but-
get like the random interviewer who's just like wants to be weird and different.
Well, I do. I mean, there are some things you can learn from those, right? Like it's more about like what kind of a person are you instead of like what kind of skills do you have?
I like the
How
color-
do you think?
I like the color blue to like describing that to someone who can't see. Like,
Yeah.
That's an interesting, lets you really, I guess, to explore your thought process.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have just bombed that question for sure.
Yeah.
You did pretty well though.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're always thinking about color and things.
Yeah, and it's just
design.
I don't know. That feels like I don't know, like someone who's good at poetry would be good at that.
It scratches
question.
the right part of your brain.
It does.
I don't think I have that part of my brain.
No, I mean, again, it's all very connected to like emotions. You know, like you have to allow yourself to feel. Oh.
Well, tell us what you guys think of the episode. We had a lot of fun with that one. They were really
They are so
entertaining.
fun. Yeah, and you know what? It's really good information that they talk about on their show. So definitely check that out too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of ways you can reach out to us. Email us, knockknockhi@human-content.com. We're on all the social media platforms. You can hang out with us and our Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok @HumanContentPods. Thanks to all the listeners leaving feedback. We love seeing those reviews. It's great. If you subscribe and comment on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube, we can give you a shout out. Like Julia Benford 6500 on YouTube said, your guests have such great personalities and accomplishments. Also, shout out to Lady G for her interview skills.
Oh,
Look
well,
at
that's
that.
very nice. Thank you.
We do have very knowledgeable guests.
We
and
do.
You are very good at interviewing
Well, thank
people.
you.
You always ask the questions that like make me feel like I'm not very smart.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so keep that up, please. Full video episodes are up every week on my YouTube channel @DGlockenfleck. And we also have lots of cool perks, bonus episodes where we react to medical shows and movies, hang out with other members of the Knock Knock Hi community. We're there, we're active in it. Early ad-free episode access. You get interactive Q&A live stream events. Much more. We just had some live shows and, Patreon members got little perks with that. Patreon.com/Glaucomflecken or go to Glaucomflecken.com. Speaking of other Patreon community perks, new member shout out to LA Hiker. Hello. Thank you for joining us. And shout out as always to the Jonathans. Virtual head nod to you all. Patrick Luciasi, Sharon S., Omar, Edward K., Stephen G., Jonathan F., Marion W., Mr. Granddaddy, Caitlin C., Brianna L., KL, Keith G., JJH, Derek N., Mary H., Susanna F., Jenny G., Jenny J.
You do it every time.
Jenny, you're going to have to just change your name to whatever the J stands for.
We have to just start saying Jenny,
G.
and then any Jenny that comes after is just, they get the last name.
Mohammed K., Aviga, Parker, Ryan, Mohammed L., David H., Jack K., Medical Meg, Bubbly Salt, and Pink Macho.
We got to meet Bubbly Salt at one of our recent live shows.
We did.
Speaking of the Patreon perks.
Right.
And we got to meet Pink Macho at one of them as well, and some of these others, but those two names really delight me, so I wanted to throw those.
Yes. We love meeting our patrons.
Yes, it's so fun.
In person. It really is a lot of fun. Our Patreon roulette, random shout out to someone on the emergency medicine tier. Bella E. Thank you for being a patron, Bella. And thank you for listening. We're your hosts, Will and Kristen Flannery, also known as the Glaucomfleckens. Special thanks to our guests today, Doctors Nii and Renee Darko. Our executive producers are Will Flannery, Kristen Flannery, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brook. Editor and engineer Jason Portiz. Our music is by Omer Ben Zvi. To learn about Knock Knock High's program disclaimer and ethics policy, submission of every lies and release terms, go to Glaucomfleckens.com. Reach out to us at Knock Knock High. It just makes my mouth hurt.
Okay, I think we're legally required to say program disclaimer and ethics policy, submission verification and licensing terms, and HIPAA release terms.
You can go to Glaucomfleckens.com or reach out to us at Knock Knock High at human-content.com with any questions, concerns, or fun medical puns or limericks. Knock Knock High is a human content production.
Knock, knock, goodbye.
Hey, Kristen.
Yeah.
What do you think about my Dax co-pilot?
He's very cute. Almost as cute as mine.
Oh, he's great. He just sits right there.
I know.
Can I tell you about Dax?
Yeah, tell me.
Oh, man. It's fantastic. The Dragon Ambient Experience from Nuance. They call it Dax Copilot.
That's cute.
Yeah. He helps with documentation burden, reducing burnout. In fact, 80% of patients say their physician is more focused using the Dax Copilot. That's huge.
That's pretty
good. We all
good.
want to be able to connect more with our patients.
Right.
And all the documentation we have to do now, it makes it almost impossible.
Yeah, easy to burn out.
Absolutely.
At your job.
And 85% of patients say their physician's more personable and conversational.
I like that.
I need help being conversational sometimes.
You do.
And Dax is one of those things that can help you get there. So to learn more about the Nuance Dragon Ambient Experience or Dax Copilot, visit nuance.com/discoverdax. That's nuance.com/discoverdax. Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Hope you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.